Everyone's Argonaut here from Return of the Fan, and Spider-Man No Way Home is getting released pretty soon, and we've got some first reactions coming out already, which is good to see. Now, personally, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but of the original trilogy. Even though I didn't like the third one that much, I did really like the first and second one of Tobey Maguire's reign. Didn't like the Andrew Garfield ones, and I found Tom Holland's Spider-Man was okay, but I didn't really enjoy his portrayal of Spider-Man as much as Tobey Maguire, and I didn't really like Far From Home that much. Especially, well, we'll get to that later on. One of the comments later on, one of the things why I didn't like the new take of Spider-Man. But anyway, let's have a look at some of these reactions. Spider-Man No One Home's first reactions are following its world premiere last night, December 14. But was it worth the wait? The Marvel threequel, which sees the return of past faces from the franchise, has been hugely anticipated, and going by some of its first reviews, it mostly lives up to the hype. Now, there might be some very minor spoilers in this, but you've probably already kind of met this before anyway, so hopefully there won't be anything that spoils it too much for you. First reactions on social media are glowing, with critic Tessa Smith saying it exceeded her expectations, adding, "This movie is worth every excruciating moment we had to wait. The visuals, the score, the heart, the story, the villains. Talk about an epic creation, tears, chills, and happiness." So that sounds pretty cool. Eric Davis added, "I can confidently say Spider-Man No Way Home is the best live-action Spider-Man movie, a thrilling and emotional end to the Homecoming trilogy, but also smart, fun, and exciting tribute to 20 years of Spider-Man movies. Both hilarious and heartbreaking. Honestly, I loved every second." So I'll have to go and see the movie first before I can say it might be the best live-action one. It'd have to be pretty good to top the Tobey Maguire ones. Peter Sharetta said the flick feels a movie version of a big comic book event miniseries, praising its emotion and suggesting that it justifies the ending I didn't like from Far From Home and sends the franchise in an exciting direction. So that's an interesting point. I personally didn't like the ending of Far From Home either. So that will be interesting to see what they do. No Way Home definitely lived up to the hype, according to Nathaniel Braille, who elaborated, "It's dark, full of emotion, and packed with surprises. I can't wait to see it again with the crowd. The performances alone make this something you don't want to miss." So all good positive things so far. However, the critical assessment and reviews is a little more mixed. For example, IGN says it hits all the right notes, while Hollywood Reporter argued it was the least fun of the current Spider-Man trilogy movies. So let's see some of these things. No Way Home, the MCU happily and mostly following its own internal logic, careens into kookiness as it encompasses the previous big screen manifestations of its web-slinging hero into a single narrative. The most superheroic feat on display might be the film's ability to keep human-sized emotions and relationships front and center, even as the very fabric of time and space twists itself into knots. So I think that's kind of a reference to the multiverse aspect of this particular movie. Personally, myself, I don't really like multiverse stories because basically you can do anything you want and affect the universe in lots of different ways, which I don't personally like. But that's just me. You might be different. Spider-Man No Way Home hits all the right notes as the MCU's latest entry. Its impact on the universe as a whole, as well as overall emotional beats, all feel earned. Stellar performances meet what feels like Saturday morning cartoon, rife with all the devastating punches we've come to expect from this sneaky universe. Though it struggles with some tired superhero tropes, everything else about it will leave fans grinning from ear to ear. So that sounds pretty good too. No Way Home ends a strange year for Marvel on a strong note. While 2021 featured an enjoyable, if redundant, prequel, Black Widow, completely agree. A compelling debut for an obscure hero, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, don't agree at all. Wasn't Shang-Chi's sister the main hero of that particular movie because she was just so much better than Shang-Chi himself? So it would make sense that she would become the obscure hero, not Shang-Chi. And an experimental, if divisive, spectacle featuring even more unknown characters, Eternals, which was a bomb. No Way Home channels the entire spectrum of Spider-Man movies while setting the character on a course all his own. Make sure you stay for the credits. If you poke too many holes in the narrative, Spider-Man No Way Home starts to become undone, but if you take it at face value, it's a sweet moving swing of a Spider-Man film that mostly manages to land. Of course, anything to do with superhero movies, if you look into them in a greater detail, you're obviously going to meet plot holes and things like that that don't make sense. So you don't want to think too carefully about those particular things. While it would have been preferable to see a less convoluted plot constructed more from a desire to progress rather than regress, relying on fan service as a driving force, what's wrong with that, The Guardian? Nothing wrong with fan service because you're giving your customers what they want, right? That's the whole point of fan service, is make a movie that the fans want. They'll give you money to go and see your movie. It just seems like fan service is a really bad word these days in Hollywood, which is absolutely ridiculous. The script is more coherent than it could have been, given that many moving parts. It is not quite as overstuffed as, say, Civil War and the third Captain America installment, that also pushed the series from its own world into that of multiple others. So this one here is something that I've always thought as well. Some of the fan service plays fairly well here. Some of it is unsubtle enough you expect an actor to look into the camera and wink at you after delivering his line, but in the end, No Way Home does use its multiversal mayhem to address the only real problem with the Holland era web slinger. This is exactly what I believe with the iron manification of the character, in which his already amazing powers keep getting overshadowed by the gadgets given to him by billionaire jerk hero Tony Stark. And that's been my problem with the Tom Holland movies of Spider-Man, is that he doesn't need all these extra gadgets, the new Spider-Man suit, all this kind of stuff. He has amazing Spider-Man powers. That's what Spider-Man should be focused on. Personally, that's just my opinion. You could be different, but you know, stick to the powers of the character. That's what we actually want to see. Anyway, sounds like it's been a pretty good reviews for that. Again, I always take the critic reviews with a grain of salt anyway. We'll have to wait for some of the audience reviews, but I think it's going to be a pretty good movie, a lot better than anything else Marvel has done this particular year. And I'm going to go and see it and support it only because Sony will be getting the bulk of the money from this particular movie, so Marvel won't be. I think they only get about like 25% of this, considering the way that how woke Marvel has gone and how Disney has been treating some of its actors which don't agree with their message, like Gina Carano. I'm trying to give them the least amount of money possible. So we're going to see this movie. At least I'm supporting Sony, who hasn't gone that way just yet, or as badly. But anyway, let me know what you think. Are you going to see No Way Home? If you have seen it somehow, let me know what you think in the comment section. But no spoilers, please, because we don't want any people reading it to get spoiled. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, you're welcome to give it a thumbs down. And if you like my content, please subscribe as well. And here's hoping that No Way Home is going to be an awesome movie. Alright, catch you in the next video.